Evening, boys and girls. And because I didn't upload anything last week, I thought I might as well do 2 this week. Why not? I've got 2 days off back to back. Bert's at work, so lovely jubbly. Now, in the last upload, I pointed at this, as you can see from the photo in its position, and I said I didn't know what it was, which is true, I didn't. But because of what I want to do ultimately with the car channel and things like that, I thought I'll research it because I want to learn as I go. I want to use this entire experience as teaching myself, learning, expanding my knowledge. And so last night I looked this up. Now this is all fresh information for me. I found it on the old internet and I've got some notes laid down here. So please bear with me. There may be a few edits where I screw the pooch a little bit. But I'll try to explain what this is. Now, you can probably hear it's hollow. Some of them will have baffles in. This one, as far as I can see, I've looked inside it, it's empty, there's nothing in there. Now, this is an air intake resonator. Now, technically, it could be called a Helmholtz resonator because of what it does. What you've got to try and think of is when the valve in your engine opens, the inlet valve, opens, the piston is going down, it is creating a vacuum, it is dragging air in at a hell of a speed. Now, the air doesn't travel in nice and politely, okay? It doesn't go, oh, the valve is closed, I'll wait here until the valve opens again. No. It's being dragged in at a huge speed. It slams into the valve when the valve eventually closes, compresses, because obviously all the air being dragged in, there's multiple cylinders, so all the other air being dragged in, compresses. It bounces back a bit like a heavily compressed spring. Now, this wave, if you will, this wave of air has to travel somewhere, and it will bounce about inside the cylinder head off anything and everything until either the intake reopens or it hits something else and bounces out. Now, the problem is in the customization world. You see, a lot of people think that there's a number of things with a car out the factory that you don't need. Yeah? Because this technically quietens an engine, a lot of customizers believe that that's its only job. Okay, keep the grannies happy down the high street style thing, keep the engine quiet. And so when they customize it to make it tasty, make it a bit nice, lads, they take them away. But that is actually a very stupid thing to do, because this tiny little box helps to increase the horsepower of an engine. Yes, it quietens it down because of how it works, but I'll see if I can explain it, because I'm not an engineer or anything like this. This is just me making extra content. That wave that's going on inside the cylinder head, it's known as the first harmonic, and eventually it will exit, and it will exit the way it came in. Now, some of it will obviously find its way back into the cylinders and go through the general process out the exhaust valve and bugger off that way. But the stuff that doesn't goes back down the intake. Now, you've got air coming in, you've got air coming out, and they're hitting each other at a hell of a speed. This air is travelling at the speed of sound. Yeah, so you wallop in it. And what happens is it creates a jam, a blockage, a clog, if you will. And so this, adding a chamber onto your otherwise smooth intake, forces the air coming back has to go somewhere. Now, the air coming in and the air coming back are travelling at different speeds. It's a little bit like if you have a bottle and you across it. Air has to fill the gap it's presented with. Yeah, so if you blow, some of the air goes in, some of the air goes out. Some goes past, some goes in. So the air's coming out, the air's coming in. The air has to fill this. Okay, so the force it's got, it expends it when it fills this cavity, when it fills this area, this volume. Thus allowing the air coming in, being sucked in, a relatively easy journey to the cylinder. Because obviously when you've got the two pressures hitting, when you've got the two waves, the incoming and obviously the trying to escape wave hitting each other, you create a pressure. It's a high pressure area, obviously. Creates a high pressure area, and that, like I said, it creates a clog. Now, if it creates a clog, it means the air trying to get to the engine is restricted. And if you're not getting the air going to the engine, you're losing power, you're losing performance. And so engineers came up with this. Literally just plugs into the intake. And it gives the returning gases somewhere to go. Because obviously a large amount of the air that's being dragged in will go into the cylinder and go through the usual cycle and bugger off through the exhaust. But you will get the harmonic wave coming back out, trying to escape back through the intake. It's a reversion wave. If you're curious, the air coming back is known as a reversion wave. There's multiple different waves because each piston puts out a wave at its own interval. And because of obviously the multiple waves and air bouncing all over the place, it will restrict what your engine can produce, power your engine can put out. The thing is, if you make these things too big, thinking, oh, the bigger it is, the more power I'm going to have, well, you're going to start losing air coming into the engine. So it's kind of there's a fine line, there's a fine balance. Remember, the air that's coming back that way is not the same volume as the air going in, because the air going in is being sucked into the cylinder to go through the normal cycle. So it's only the air that slams into the closed valve bouncing back. Now, if another valve opens, it could bounce back into there, or it could bounce back. The reversion wave gets to the next valve as it closes, but of course there's air going in that's bouncing back at the same time, so on and so forth. And like I said, it does it multiple times. Now, because a pressure wave is effectively a sound wave, that's why a lot of people, a lot of customizers, believe this only serves one purpose: to dampen the sound. A muffler, if you will. But it quietens the engine and paradoxically helps to increase the horsepower. But anyway, there you go, that is that. And there's been a couple of edits because I did screw the pooch a couple of times. But I don't think I did too badly, given that I'm researching this for the first time last night. And I've written my notes down. I've covered virtually everything I put in my little notes, in my little pad. Give myself bullet points. And I just thought I'd say, look, that's what this is. Because I didn't know. Now, obviously, I've monetized my channel, and the issue with that is my uploads are supposed to be about 10 minutes for advertising, whatever. I don't really understand it. I've never done this before. I'm just, it's something Simon said. Well, Simon said, I hate Simon. It's something that Si said. Obviously learn, monetize, see how we go. So I thought I'd start this extra one, getting rid of all of my notes. There's a heck of a lot of notes there. I thought it was going to take a long time, but I kind of remembered the order because I wrote them down. It's a bit like revision. If you write something down, you learn it. But yeah, I just thought I'd go into details about what this little box is, its job, and that it isn't pointless. Just because you want a nice loud sounding car, not everything that quietens an engine down restricts its power. I mean, things that restrict exhaust flow, for example, if you're restricting the speed at which exhaust gases can exit the engine, you all understand that will decrease the power of the vehicle. Hence the reason, if you want to keep a catalytic converter for emissions but get round the problem of a catalytic converter, you'd get a vortex exhaust system, which effectively keeps the catalytic converter there, but the way the exhaust is designed around it creates a vacuum to suck the exhaust gases out at a higher rate, thus allowing you to meet the emissions that the vehicle's supposed to meet, but increase the performance of the engine because the exhaust gases bugger off a lot quicker. But on the intake, you don't want anything restricting the air flowing into the engine, because restricted airflow in a compression-based system, you're going to lose power, you're going to lose pressure, you know what I mean? And I just thought it'd be quite interesting for me to try, because obviously I am doing this car channel and I need to practice, I need to figure things out, find a way of doing things. And I thought, well, why not? I didn't upload last week. And I kind of feel bad for that, because even if I'm in a bad mood, I should upload something, because if I'm in a bad mood, I'm in a bad mood. It creates content. I could do a rant, for example. But I just thought, well, why not? When I was editing it last night, before I uploaded, and in the last bit, in the kind of the last scene, if you will, I pointed at it and I said, I had no clue what this does. And I was sitting there after I'd edited it, and I was thinking, why don't I just look it up? And because I'm going to need to do this. I'm going to need to, plan things out. I like Simon not being here. I can put my feet up. I own the chair, so I don't care. I can plan things out. Right, this is the information I've got to get across. Let's create some notes on my little pad, line them out, and see how I get on remembering just using bullet points. Because if you write a script, it's easy enough to remember the lines once you've said them enough times. You write it, you spend a week memorising it, and then you blah, 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 blah. But when you've got a lot of information that you're not used to learning, I mean, learning things like a film line or something is relatively easy, because you like it, it's entertaining, you've had a lot of fun watching it with your mates, you may have been drunk at some point watching that scene, or all that kind of stuff, or you'll use lines from your favourite film with your friends, and just as a bit of a giggle. So it's easy to learn film lines, it's easy to learn song lines as well, because you sing along to the songs in the car, you learn where each bar change is, and you learn the chorus and the verses around it. So you know what the first verse is, the chorus, and the second verse, so on and so forth. But when you're trying to explain how something of an engineering nature works, it might not be amazingly interesting to you as an individual. And because of some of the things that I want to do with Simon and Matt and Gary and Dan, on Jamie obviously, on the car channel, I've got to start doing this. I've got to start trying to explain as concisely as I can. And I know I'm dragging this out, but I've got to do 10 minutes here, so give me a break. I don't know what I'm up to. What am I up to? Oh, I'm up to 15 minutes, so I've done it. I'm going to keep going. Bollocks. I'm trying to do this and get it and streamline it, get it down, get it done. And like I said, this channel is now really going to be behind the scenes stuff, or practicing bits and bobs, maybe different camera angles as I've been doing recently. Obviously not today, I've just set one camera up. I want to make this edit as quick as possible because I'll be up early tomorrow, so whatever. But I want to use this channel to practice. I want Simon and Gary and Dan and Matt and Jamie to be able to practice what they're doing and put it on a channel, so that if it's a bit, it's got a channel to go to. A bit like the Aston Martin thing, it didn't come out the way I wanted it to. So the vast majority of the Aston Martin stuff will be this channel. It won't be the car channel. because it's just not right. But at least I get to see it. I get to edit it. I get to see how it looks online, how it ultimately comes out, what the sound's like. I've been playing with editing the audio because obviously I use Tascam recorders, or Tascam, sorry. I always put H in these, I don't know why. Recorders for audio. The thing is that these are quite quiet, so what I end up doing is I line everything up, I copy the audio track, I put 4 audio tracks in total, and I'll voice enhance, music enhance, bass reduce, treb boost. That's the order I do it, and it seems to work really well. So it's kind of sorted out my audio. The problem is that when I'm in certain cars, for example, I've noticed this with Gary because I did a dry run through with him not so long ago, that have the big boy loud exhausts, and they're not the quietest of interiors. Music enhancement, for example, really brings out the exhaust, and I found that out with the Aston. There was nothing I could do. I set up a microphone, trying to be clever. You see, I'd set up a microphone in the Terrican where I'd plugged one microphone in, bunged it on the air vent, obviously closed the air vent to stop air noise, bunged it on the air vent in the centre, and we chatted, and it worked in the Terrican because the Terrican's quite a quiet car inside. So I did the same thing, thinking in my naivety that it would work in the Aston Martin, and it really didn't. I mean, nothing I seem to do with the audio gets rid of the vehicle's noise. And yes, we all like a V8 Vantage soundtrack, but not when you're trying to talk, not when you're trying to do things to camera. So it's really aggravating. What I needed to do and what I should have done is what other YouTubers do, but I was trying to be different, and that is a microphone on the seatbelt or attached around, here, and you have one and the driver has one, or whatever, the passenger has one, and then you've got your own individual. I mean, I've got a microphone that splits one, it plugs in as one, but it splits to 2. So instead of having multiple audio tracks, I can have myself and a passenger, or myself and the driver. We have 2 separate microphones, but it all plugs in as one. That's useful. It was very useful. And it's also really good when you've got twin exhausts, because I can get both exhausts when I record the exhaust notes. It's really cool. And it works amazingly well. Unfortunately, I hadn't learnt this when I did the Aston Martin one, so the sound is just horrible. It's just a constant drone. And it was a bit hit and miss anyway. We didn't really know how we were going to do things. We didn't really know which direction we were going to take with it. Jamie came up with an idea, I had an idea, we put them all together, and it really didn't work. I mean, it really didn't work. So it's a learning curve. Everything in life is a learning curve. Every failure is not a failure. Yes, you didn't achieve what you wanted to achieve, but you learnt from it to be able to go on to achieve what you wanted to achieve. So there's no real failure other than giving up, and I am not giving up. Not after the last couple of years I've been through. It's not in me anymore to just give up. It's why I went out and got that blue Jag, because the gold one's getting scrapped. It's not been scrapped today. Simon's had a bit of an issue with the scrap company. They wouldn't get back to him. It's now happening Wednesday morning. And I have messaged him. I'll read it. Okay, I'll read it. Because he hasn't turned up. I think he's wimping out of featuring on the channel because he's scrapping the gold Jag. Right, basically, I started this morning. I sent him a message, 10:54. I'm guessing you got nothing from the scrap guys. And he's responded, no call yet. I'm going to call them at 11:30. Fair enough, whatever. So I've gone, okay, well, if it all goes Pete Tong, would you be willing to go halves on a garage lockup and just store the blasted thing until we can work on it? It's a random question, but I had a thought about potential content that could be made with the gold car, and it would be a good base if we were to create a race car. because that's one of the ideas that's bouncing about in our heads. He responds, nah, I'm just going to scrap it, makes life easier. No, it's messages. I've sent you messages. Yeah. So, yeah. So I did try. I've tried repeatedly. I've said, well, look, might as well. And and he said he'll pop round the night before Wednesday to make sure it starts. Well, if you're scrapping it, why does it matter if it starts? They'll just drag it off the driveway. But I said, yeah, it starts, but you'll need to come over to sign it over anyway because it's his car. And he's like, yeah, I know that. And my last message to him was, well, may as well pop over the night before once I'm home from work. Make a small bit of in the garage content to explain your idiocy of scrapping over storing. He hasn't responded. I sent that at 11:34. It's now 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He hasn't responded. But I have tried, okay? I have tried. But like I said, that's why I went out and got my own 2.5, because I can still do things with it. I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna quit this. It's gonna launch, if you're curious, the car channel will launch in some way, shape or form, come hell or high water, at the beginning of the year, next year. It's not going to launch the way I wanted it to, with a full project car, because obviously that's going to go to the great car graveyard in the sky. But it is going to launch. I've now got to figure out how regularly I'm going to upload, because I'm not going to have all that, what I referred to yesterday as link content. You see, with the Jag, I can break down what we're doing into like 10-15 minute segments. And then if I've got 16 cars, or we have 16 cars, access to 16 cars to review or chat about or do work on, it's a case of, well, you've got 16 weeks there. Okay, one upload a week. Well, there's 52 weeks in a year. So if I did 16 uploads featuring just the Jag, well, that's now 32 weeks of a year where I can upload every week. So then I've only really got to find 20 uploads. But then, of course, you've got holidays, you've got time off. You're not going to upload every single week, 52 weeks of the year. It would be impossible. So if I had 32, for argument's sake, uploads, 16 of the Jag and then 16 of other cars, not including any car shows that we could go to. So obviously I'm using the Jag as, well, it would be 16 uploads, but maybe there'd be 10 of the Jag and 6 car shows, that kind of thing, And that was the plan. Now, I'm only going to have maybe 1 or 2 car shows that I might be able to make this year. On this rolling rota, I'll have some weekends off, so I'm going to see if I can organise something with Jamie or Matt. Probably Matt, because he's closer. To see if we can go to a couple of car shows, have a bit of a laugh and a joke, that kind of stuff. So there'll be that, and there'll be obviously the vehicles that we can chat about, or some work on, like the Terrican, for example. And now I've got to figure out, am I going to upload weekly? I'm not going to have a huge amount of content, and when we first start, we've all got full-time jobs. We can't just be there every single week. So that's why I wanted to have a library of stuff, a load of content ready to upload. So now I've got to figure out, are we going to do it monthly? 16 cars, that's over a year. But then that's just going to be one upload each month talking about a Nissan Leaf or a X-Trail or a X-Type or an i30. It's just going to be one of those generic DIY review things that I want. I want elements of that, but I don't want to just be that. So am I going to do an upload every 2 weeks? Because obviously I've got work to do on that Terrican. There's diesel everywhere. I don't think I should have moved it yesterday. I really don't think I should have moved it with the engine on, put it that way, because a little bit more diesel escaped. I really hope I haven't dried one of those injectors. I really, really, really don't don't want to have done that. I don't think I have, because it seems to be running perfectly fine. There doesn't seem to be any louder noise coming from the engine that would lead you to believe an injector has dried anyway. So I've got some stuff that I can do, but it's not just the editing of stuff I've already done, because I went through a few of them last night, because like I said, they're not massively long. Well, I'm trying to keep them not massively long. And there's the odd reference, but it's not going to cause me any issues to edit it out. I haven't gone through everything, but some of it I'm probably not going to use anyway, just because it's a bit. But yeah, just halfway through a year, and I'm having to reorganise. Just what I wanted. But anyway, there you go. I thought I'd do some extra content, like I said, because I didn't last week. And there's a fly. I don't know whether this is picking up. Probably, knowing my luck. But anyway, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share about, guys. Do whatever it is you usually do. I'll see you in the next one. Should be next week. I'm going to do everything I can to drag Simon in here and make him explain himself. But yeah, anyway, cheers for watching, and see you in the next one.